Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Tom Dark channel. I am your host, Tom, and today we are once again talking about Ethan Klein, my favorite YouTuber ever. And the question we're going to be asking and hopefully trying to answer today is Ethan Klein suing Reddit? And the answer seems to be probably not, but there allegedly have been various false copyright strikes from Ethan over on the subreddit H3Snark, which is a sub that is essentially created for people who don't like Ethan Klein very much, to put it lightly.
Before the debate, we've talked at length about the Snark subreddit, which is just a toxic, horrific, hateful place.
Now, I myself have not had the most favorable opinion of Ethan for a little while now, and I've had several videos on why, but this sub kind of takes it to a whole nother level, okay? This is like a professional hater sub. And the funny thing is, they're not even professional because they don't get paid to do it, but they put in full-time hours. Don't get me wrong, a majority of the stuff that, Ethan's been criticized for, a majority of the hatred he's incurred, is stuff that is fully his responsibility, and to this day, he continues to kind of reap what he sowed a little bit. I see his beef with Hassan, and it's like, okay, on one hand, Hassan sucks, but at the same time, like, you had to have kind of known what you were getting into when you started a podcast with, like, the most famous political extremist on the internet. But even so, the bias and pure concentrated hatred that H3Snark seems to have for Ethan is so condensed that it's hard to judge what's real and what's fake. I think that to an extent, their hatred has clouded their judgment, as they say in that one Redditor movie. So the journalistic integrity of being able to stay neutral isn't exactly the best for them. But still, I think it's important to give their claims a fair shake, or as fair as I can possibly give them, even though these people do seem psychotic. And if true, the claims that they are making about Ethan Klein could be pretty bad if proven to be right. So today we're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive into the Reddit accusations against the Big E to see if they hold any weight or to see if they're complete bullshit. And hopefully by the end of this, we'll have a clear picture of what's going on here.
What, you think you're pretty? You're so confident about yourself. I'm so pretty. I'm the pretty girl on TikTok. No, you're black, ugly, piece of shit, stranger, asshole, dumb asshole, shit-face, died of cancer, and I can't wait till the day you die because you have the coronavirus. Okay? And I'm done. I'm not going to talk to you now. I'm blocking you right now because I don't talk to little shits and I don't talk to whores.
So the theory and accusation from the collective hive mind of H3Snark, as stated before, is that Ethan is falsely copyright claiming or striking, taking down posts from this subreddit, with the keyword being falsely. Now, I think that I've made my stance on copyright pretty clear in the past, where generally I'm inclined to side with whoever got copyright struck rather than the claimant, because in my opinion, 99% of YouTuber copyright strikes are fucking cringe, even if they are legal. Like, for example, Jake Doolittle striking down Rob's Media's archive of his content. On one hand, does Jake legally have a right to do that? Yes, of course he does, but I don't really care because obviously I can see the purpose of archiving something. I can see the purpose of archiving a piece of content that a YouTuber wanted to hide, maybe because it's important to be able to criticize that content. And ultimately, I in general would always side with someone who is being claimed rather than the claimant, unless that person's trying to directly make money from and profit from that re-uploaded content. But just keep in mind here, the main accusation is that Ethan is illegally copyright striking these Reddit posts. So I'm going to generally judge if these claims hold any merit based on that metric. Morally, for the most part, I'll let you guys decide, although I think, I will throw in an occasional opinion where warranted if I have to. But who knows, you never know what's going to happen. This is Tom Dark, baby, okay? We get crazy over here. You never know what could be happening. I might get a more fucked up haircut next. But starting at the top here on this post, OP explains why they think Ethan is doing this and immediately start with their first claim. Around the time these removals started, one of our users also received a copyright removal for uploading a 2-minute long clip from a 4-hour-long podcast to YouTube where Ethan said it was funny that his personal assistant, Lena Ayad, had been sexually harassed by his guest, Wayne Diamond, who made misogynistic comments about Lena's chest size. All right, so before we get into the actual copyright part, I think this needs a little more context. Whoever wrote this post, actually, who did write this? Wait, okay, so it was the actual mod team or a user that goes by the name H3Snark mod team. I think that is an actual mod. That's pretty funny. But anyway, the context of this is that, yes, it's true that a guest of H3 that goes by the name Wayne Diamond did make inappropriate or weird comments to another one of Ethan's female employees, Lena, about her breast size. The clip is actually still up and you can see it right now. You can watch it if that's, what you want to enjoy. I liked it.
I see that new chick with the nice breast. Who is that?
Who are you
talking about?
I swear to God, I thought it was your new wife or something. I have no idea.
What's happening right now? I don't know.
At first, you can tell they kind of have no idea what this guy's talking about, so they just kind of move on. But Wayne talks about it again, and Ethan actually straight up says, like, all right, dude, you gotta cut it out. Chill out, you fucking geezer. You're a weirdo. You're a freak.
I think you're talking about someone that works with us, and
What's wrong with your eyes? Yeah,
I would appreciate if you did not refer to their breasts in future comments.
I'm so sorry.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Keep in mind, the entire point of this young spry buck being on the show was to be, you know, sort of a joke type guest, because the entire shtick was playing an exaggerated boomer character that made off-color jokes like that, kind of similar to Jimmy Lee, who's another recurring H3 character. Basically, it's like a running gag, right? It's like his version of Howard Stern's Whack Pack. They bring these weirdos on. Now, the fans were clearly upset at this still, so after the live stream, Ethan talked about how they were never going to get the boomer crowd character again, and then said that it was kind of funny, referring to how insane Wayne was.
That's true, guys, but you gotta admit, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. You have to admit.
Not
Admit what?
Wayne.
Wayne crossed the line.
Wayne did ruin Wayne's shot.
Wayne's
No,
out.
Wayne's out.
Wayne's
of the
out.
contest.
Yeah.
Wayne's out.
And this is probably the most important missing bit of context, because Lena, or Lena, whatever her name is, the person who Wayne made those weird comments towards, said right afterwards that she didn't get why people were mad at Ethan, and that they, meaning her and Ethan, were cool and it was fine.
About that, I just want to say again, thank you guys so much in the audience for defending me. It means a lot, but also I saw a ton of comments attacking Ethan, and I don't get that because, like they just mentioned, we were all like thrown off. The comment was so random initially. And then also it led to an important discussion, and Wayne apologized, and I think that's more important than just like closing him off entirely.
Yeah. We love you, Lena.
I love you guys.
Yeah.
And to you too, Ethan. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
doing
you,
that.
and I apologize.
I know, guys. The glazing is crazy, okay? I'm not trying to play like the H3 Defense Force squad here, but like when you make a statement saying that they thought it was funny their employee was sexually harassed, obviously you're going to be like, okay, what's going on here? And then you see the actual clips and it's like, Ethan just laughed at how insane this guy was. He wasn't like, oh my God, this guy harassed you? Yes, let's go! That's more of like a me type thing. And I'm not comfortable with the fact that this Reddit is claiming that Ethan's the one that would do that, when in reality, I deserve the credit. I think this here is a perfect example of how much the H3 Snark Reddit hates Ethan. Like, they will twist any story to be about how evil he is. There may be good criticisms in there, but they will twist any story if they can because they fucking hate him. But regardless of that, back to the actual copyright claim. The YouTube notice for that removal cited the H3 podcast as the channel that filed the takedown, and the contact information was Dan at H3H3 Productions in the legal notice, confirming that Dan, or Ethan, and the H3 podcast did the takedown. Considering this was done on August 13th, 2024, and other copyright strikes in our subreddit began shortly after, it's safe to assume these are also being submitted by Dan, the producer for the H3 podcast. Now, if we look at the screenshot and the link here, it does seem like this YouTube video was taken down from the official H3 podcast channel, I think. I mean, it has, you know, at H3H3productions.com in the email as the contact domain link, whatever you want to call it. So it seems to be the case, but there are two important things to mention here. As I stated before, the video uploaded to the Reddit was a straight up 2-minute rip from their podcast, which seems like technically it might violate copyright law because it doesn't add anything necessarily transformative, at least in layman's terms. So off the bat, you'd probably be like, okay, well, legally Ethan has a right, you know, morally I may disagree, but legally there's not much recourse here. But this isn't as cut and dry as you may think, if it is the case that this is, in fact, Ethan and his team taking down this clip. Which, to be clear, it could be some copyright troll. It might not be him. I'm not totally sure. I've never heard Ethan talk about whether or not he's claimed this subreddit in particular, as of yet, in this video. And at this point, we have to go into an important precedent for copyright law. Basically, in 2020, a YouTuber named Sargon of Akkad, who you guys may know, he's like an anti-SJW YouTuber type guy. You probably remember him from like Gamergate or anti-SJW commentary days or whatever. Like, you know, 2015 to 2018 roughly was his heyday, I guess, right? Basically, this girl named Akila obviously had sued him. She was like, you are stealing my content, because he had taken a clip of her being upset that Donald Trump won the election over Hillary Clinton. He had cut it up into some epic funny moments and posted it to his YouTube channel with a different name, right? And she assumed that she would win in civil court. She assumed that she would get money from him for copyright infringement, but that's not how it turned out. In court, it was determined that the only thing that was necessary for the video to be transformative was the title, and the title was making fun of Akila, obviously, right? The video wasn't uploaded to Sargon's channel to like rip her content off or steal what she made or make money off of what she made, because if you wanted to watch Akila, obviously you would just go to her channel. But the whole point behind his clip was to make fun of her, hence the title. So therefore, his content is transformative. It's not a market replacement. basement, and it was determined that ultimately he was legally within his right to upload that. Now, going back to the H3 thing, if you look at the original title of this re-upload for H3, you can see it says it was originally titled Ethan Klein responds to claims he allowed his employee, Lena Ayad, to be sexually harassed. Now, the title here in and of itself is not really that opinionated in nature, so I'm more inclined to believe that this clip could technically violate copyright law without being super transformative, but there is another layer to this. Because Ethan has gone on record recently explicitly saying that clipping his content is fine if it's short enough and not a direct rip. And the clip in question here is only 2 minutes long.
There's a clip.
You can clip the members if it's reasonable length. Full re-uploads will be erased with DMCAs with peace and love.
Delete.
So no full re-uploads.
Delete.
If it's a reasonably length highlight, we will let you survive.
So to me, morally, it does look like he could be showing a double standard here if he's the one filing these claims. And on top of that, it's not like these people are, making money off of talking about Ethan. The subreddit is not collecting money. They're not, making a bunch of ad revenue from this situation. Really, all they're doing is clipping their most memorable moments from the podcast and being very disingenuous about it. I'll say that much. But is it a copyright violation? Are they ripping his content and making money from it? Are they violating his copyright and his intellectual property? I would argue probably not in layman's terms, but legally, I don't know. On October 16th, 2024, Ethan shared that he felt he had zero recourse with Reddit when a user made a post calling out the senior designer of Teddy Fresh for stealing fashion designs from a small indie designer named Ashley Williams London. Teddy Fresh has a long history of stealing designs from smaller or popular designers. Please see our Teddy Theft post flare for several dozen examples of this. It is popular content on our subreddit. In this H3 Snark doxing segment on his show back in October, Ethan falsely accused r/H3 Snark of doxing his employees, and despite the 100+ false reports the post received from fans, Reddit did not remove the post because it was very clearly not doxing. Ethan lied about the nature of the post in an effort to have the post removed because it made him and his business look bad for clearly stealing from smaller designers. Now, Ethan has resorted to abusing the copyright system to control the narrative on our subreddit, since Reddit admins will not comply with his demands to get specific posts removed. Now, looking into this, it does seem like this claim has some actual merit somewhat. Basically, this whole thing started when someone made a Reddit post saying that the senior designer for Teddy Fresh, which is Ela Klein's clothing brand that I'm sure you guys have seen all around. I remember when I was in high school, there were kids I saw wearing Teddy Fresh and I was like, you're gay. But basically the claim here was that the senior designer had liked the exact garment that they knocked off from Ashley Williams. Whether they did knock it off isn't that important. Honestly, I don't really care. But what is important is that the Reddit post included screenshots of the lead designer where it showed that his Instagram account had indeed liked this. And that's where Ethan gets involved. Because this post would reach the top of H3 Snark, to which Ethan would respond on stream saying that this was a non-public Teddy Fresh employee that was being doxxed and harassed. Now, I think the harassment part is probably true. I wouldn't doubt that people spammed Zionists in their comment section or something stupid like that. But the non-public part is not true, clearly, as their Instagram was able to be viewed by anyone. I mean, they literally had senior designer at Teddy Fresh in their bio. So, like, they weren't really doxxed.
On the Snark subreddit, the top post right now is dedicated to identifying and harassing non-public Teddy Fresh employees. It's on the front page. It has, last I checked, it had 500 upvotes.
Now, even when he tried to report it several hundred times, it would apparently get denied. This got so bad that even the official Reddit mods, like not from the subreddit, but from the official Universal Reddit Police Warden Academy, like the official Super Trooper Wehrmacht fucking ground stormtroopers of Reddit, all right, they denied his request, and then they went on to permaban anyone trying to falsely report it for doxing, because clearly everything about this was already public. I mean, this guy was even in an official video on Ela's YouTube channel. Now, keep in mind here, it is still kind of effed up to spam this random designer with comments asking if he knows he works for a Zionist or whatever reason that H3 Snark hated Ethan that day. But in this particular case, the Reddit post still is not really doxing anyone, and thus it deserves to stay up. Now, Ethan is clearly aware of this subreddit, and he probably talks about it too much, honestly, but they even bring up his relationship with it in this mega thread, along with additional accusations about what's going on here. Ethan has threatened to sue Reddit for allowing us to remain on the site. One sentence in, and it's already like, what? What? He's threatening to sue Reddit? Like the Redditor? The subreddit? The actual $15 billion Reddit company? What is going on here? Well, this all started when someone would make a post on Snark saying the mods of the H3 subreddit are deleting posts about Ramadan. This post would blow up with a lot of comments calling out Ethan for hating Muslims or whatever. And someone would even screen cap that and post it to Twitter, and it would blow up, getting 15,000 likes, with even more people saying that Ethan is Islamophobic, that he hated Palestinians, etc., etc., the whole rigmarole, right? Now, Ethan would then go on stream and respond, essentially saying that it's fake, the post never even existed, and that they were lying.
It's faked. That post never happened. There's no record of it. It never happened.
Didn't happen.
It was not deleted because it was never posted.
Ethan then says that this blowing up is a straight up defamation campaign that's caused his business to be difficult with people, and that if Reddit doesn't do anything, he would hold them accountable, possibly implying that he would sue them if they didn't take it down. He also talked about how people on the H3 Snark subreddit were harassing his employees' families.
And if Reddit isn't going to do anything about it, after I've gone through every venue possible, I'm going to have to, I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to start holding people accountable at Reddit. Because this for sure is not, I can't believe that this is following their site rules. I can't believe it.
Now, obviously, I think one of the biggest problems with this claim is that he didn't really show any proof that this post never existed, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to, like, how do you prove a negative? I mean, I guess he could go through the logs to prove that it didn't exist, but if there's so many people that already think it exists, like, it's kind of hard to dispel that misinformation, right? And in that way, I do have empathy for Ethan in the fact that these crazy people are trying to ruin his business. So far, as far as I can tell in this situation, Ethan is in the right here as far as the idea that he is being slandered. Like, even if that post did get taken down from the H3 subreddit, that doesn't mean that Ethan is Islamophobic or hates Muslims. And you can even see there are several other posts of people saying Happy Ramadan that were able to be posted on the original H3 subreddit without being taken down. Now, Ethan said he wanted to hold Reddit accountable. I'm assuming that meant some kind of lawsuit, but it seems like he didn't actually go through with that. But this does seem like a pretty clear case of actual defamation, at least in the eyes of these H3 Snark guys who, in fairness, do fucking hate Ethan and would slander him instantly because they just hate him. The problem is that 15,000 people saw the repost of that thinking it was 100% legit, and that's a permanent part of the internet that just thinks he's Islamophobic now without merit, without justification, right? If he did ever actually try making a case, I mean, defamation in the United States is extremely hard to prove. It's a high bar, so I don't know how that would go, honestly, in court, but I will say that it does seem likely to me that he is completely justified here in his anger, because according to him, the mods and the official Reddit mods were complicit in this as well, and were okay with this misinfo being spread.
Like, at this point with the Snark subreddit, the harassment and just like the nasty fucking disgustingness that comes from there is getting to the point where they're like promoting defamation, they're brigading subreddits, they're brigading sponsors, and like the fact that this is allowed on Reddit, and I've tried to notify Reddit and they just don't fucking care. And actually what's interesting is, if anything, they have greenlit it, because once again, it was removed, it was mysteriously brought back after one day, and then our mod, who reported 3 posts that were in blatant violation of their rules, was permanently banned. Like, Dan, I don't know if there was more, Dan, that made you feel like the game is cooked on this one.
No, it was just that incident. It was bizarre. Yeah, one of our mods compiled a bunch of site-wide rule breaking that was taking place on there, reported it, the sub was closed, and then that was reversed, and that mod was banned from Reddit. With no appeal. He appealed, and they said no.
I don't want to get into it, but like, these people are brigading and harassing crew members and their family members. They are doing things that are fucking insane. They are...
Yeah.
Can I say the thing or no?
Probably shouldn't, but
the thing is, it needs to stop.
Now, there are currently a total of 6 removed Reddit posts that H3 Snark is saying Ethan wrongfully removed. So now we're going to get into if they were wrongfully removed or what they even are. This is where it all gets slightly messy, because obviously the posts are now removed, so it's impossible to see what was in it other than the title, but we're going to have to assume some things based on the titles, as well as look at the original videos to see if they were taking, you know, him out of context or something like that. And if they were taken out of context, ultimately another question is like, did they violate copyright law? This mega thread also had a brief summary of the post with 0 links or archives, so my ass is not fucking trusting these people, okay? You won't catch me trusting H3 Snark. I'm going to be getting my info directly from the original video. So just keep in mind, if I get anything wrong here, I'm working with everything that I have available to me. I'm doing a little bit of guesswork. I don't completely know, but yeah. So this first one here is titled, LB says far leftists hate Israel because Israel is backed by the West, and this can lead to anti-Semitism. Ethan agrees, then says freedom of religion, speech, press, and to control what happens in your own workspace would be under state control in communism. Now, this post was apparently a clip from when Ethan had a political guy named Lonerbox on the H3 podcast. It was a brief section of the 4-hour-long podcast, and this post was likely targeted by Ethan, according to them at least, because it points out the contradictions of both Lonerbox's and Ethan's stances on politics in Israel and Palestine. Now, I'm not really sure what they mean by that last sentence and how it highlights his contradictions, but similar to the first claim, I'm guessing that if Ethan took this down, he took it down because it was a straight rip of his podcast with no transformative element. It wasn't like, you know, it didn't have added commentary. It was just a clip from his podcast with a title. But as we said before, before, the title can mean it's transformative, at least in a court of law, if we're going by the Sargon precedent. So based on that, I don't know if this went to court, if Ethan would come out on top. Now, looking through the rest of these, it does seem a little suspicious, but it's almost impossible to tell because none of the original posts are archived. From the titles, at least, he took down a post of his saying he describes his issues with Hassan as personal beef. And this next one is interesting because it's apparently a clip of Ethan streaming himself gambling. The title is Ethan Talks Positively About Celebrity Poker's tour sponsor, a sports gambling app named Fliff on the H3 show 83. And obviously their point here is to criticize him for having anything to do with gambling. Now there's also allegedly a post saying Ethan and Dan confirmed that posting to Snark will get you banned, which regardless of that, taking down this post also doesn't really make sense legally to me. Like, I just don't see why he needs to take this down. It seems to me like if he is the one taking it down, he's very mad about misinformation they're spreading, which is fair, but realistically speaking, you shouldn't be using the copyright system to take down these clips. Like, that's just not, you know, morally or legally the right avenue in my opinion. And finally, we have another mega thread discussing the H3 show on one specific day, which apparently got taken down. And that one's weird. Like, why would this one in particular need to get taken down? What's going on with this mega thread? Well, once again, there are 0 archives that I can find of any of these, so it's impossible to judge them apart from making assumptions. What we do know is that all of these do say they were removed by Reddit's legal team, so it does appear to be the case that Ethan is copyright striking these, but other than that, that's pretty much all there is as far as these claims. Now, I did cover this stuff before on my channel. I talked about the first, I think, 2 posts that were taken down, apparently, allegedly by Ethan, but now obviously there's more, so I feel the need to talk about it again. And, you know, on one hand, I do have a lot of sympathy for Ethan and being defamed online, because regardless of whatever you want to say about him, there are undoubtedly a lot of people who hate him for insane reasons and will defame him and take things out of context. I mean, like with that Ramadan thing from the H3 subreddit, that was completely ludicrous, and yet it got signal boosted and spammed to a ton of people who now believe that Ethan is Islamophobic, which is, you know, horrendous. And I've had that happen to me before, for sure, where people take me out of context, people clip short segments of my streams or videos and make it seem like I'm saying something I'm not. So I do have empathy for him in that. But I will say, regardless of that, I don't think it's a good idea to go out of your way to copyright claim these people. It is much more effective to prove how dishonest they are rather than try to censor them. Frankly, I think it's really weird looking at the original H3 channel in retrospect as to where we are now. Because back then, Ethan had the respect of almost everyone, and he was treated as one of like the YouTube gods that could do no wrong. But now it's hard to judge who his fans even are. Like, what is the demographic of H3 fans? Clearly, I mean, the podcast is still getting a ton of views, but from the outside, it feels like literally everyone on all sides of the internet hates this guy. If you're more right-leaning and a conservative, chances are you hate him because of the lefty arc and the association with Hassan. If you're left-leaning, if you're a leftist, you're probably not a fan of Ethan because of his stance on Israel and Palestine and the fallout with Hassan Piker. And even if you're in the middle of the aisle like me and don't give a shit, several people are still jaded and have not forgiven him after Gokanairu's video on him exposed a ton of weird, slimy stuff years ago. And you probably feel like his takes since then have been pretty bad. H3 is still massive. Like, a lot of people are saying the downfall is happening. He seems fine to me. He's definitely lost, you know, a lot of fans, but at the same time, he's got so many left that he's still getting 500,000 views on live stream VODs, which is fucking bonkers. And regardless of any of the hate he gets, he'll probably be fine long term in terms of like money. I mean, he's got Teddy Fresh, he's got, you know, his core YouTube fan base. I think he'll be okay. But ultimately, it is kind of hard to come to a definitive answer when it comes to Ethan Klein taking down some of these, if it is even him. Because on one hand, this could be a situation where it's some copyright troll like what happened with Sniper Wolf. On the other hand, he has directly acknowledged this subreddit. He clearly hates them. And frankly, he has a right to, because the H3 Snark sub is full of a lot of insane people. But at least some of their claims do have merit. And if he is the one striking these posts and taking them down, I think that most of them probably shouldn't have been taken down, and I don't like that they were. I don't feel bad for these people, but on the principle of, you know, not censoring your opposition, even if they are lying about you, I just, you know, I don't like it. I don't stand for it. Maybe I would feel different if this subreddit was targeting me, but I don't know. I just, in my opinion, it's like, just fucking ignore Reddit, right? Reddit does not matter. I do not think it is worth spending your time thinking about what delusional, basement-dwelling, cringe, loser Redditors, okay, who are literally, who knows what they're doing. They're taking black market hormones, okay? They are crying in the crib, okay? I don't have time to spend on these people. Ethan, frankly, doesn't have time to spend on these people, nor should he spend mental energy thinking about them. If, you know, he is thinking about them as much as this subreddit makes me, you know, want to believe based on the fact that he's apparently taking these posts down. But, you know, I'm not totally sure if it's him. Once again, it could be some copyright troll, but ultimately it's kind of impossible to know for sure, I think, unless Ethan responds. I'm not sure if he will, but I guess we'll just have to see. It seems to me like he doesn't want to draw any attention to the subreddit at this point, publicly, whether it is him or not that's taking down these posts. So, yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support in the videos. I appreciate all the viewership recently. Increased viewership makes me happy. Makes my tummy feel good. Makes me, oh, I'm rubbing my tummy. Also, I got this nutcracker. I don't know if you guys know this, but I did get this nutcracker. I have 2 of them. His mouth does open. I did stick my balls in it. You know, it couldn't really fit a lot, but, you know, I did try to put my balls in it. And I then started getting an erection, and I felt really weird because my erection was touching the furry part, and it was really weird to have my hard dick against this nutcracker. What do you have to say to the audience? Go on, tell them how you really feel about Ethan Klein. Uh-huh. Oh. Oh. Hey, don't, dude, that's racist, dude. Now that one I agree with.
So if that's a nutcracker, would that be a nut